Hello students, so here Raminder Kaur, your biology teacher, and this is chapter number 5, Morphology of Flowering Plants, and this is video lecture number 3. So as we have already talked about basic vegetative structures of any plant like root, stem, leaves, etc. And we have also talked about its modifications, means else than their normal functions, what are the other functions performed by these different parts of the plant. Today, we are going to study about the inflorescence. Generally, if we say whenever the plant is maturing, that stage is called as reproductive phase. Means earlier the plant is only having simple root, stem, as well as different branches and leaves, but now the flowers have started blossoming from the buds of the plant. So this is known as reproductive phase of the plant, and it is also known as maturation stage. So flowers will originate from the modified shoot, and that shoot is called as floral meristem or floral shoot. If the stem is growing from the simple apical meristem, and the flowers will start growing on the floral meristem. Internodes which are present in between the successive nodes, they will not elongate much, but the axis will get condensed. So there will be different branches will produced in between the notches of the leaves, and they will give rise to particular flowers. So whenever any stem tip is turning into a flowers, it is always solitary. Solitary means single. We cannot say that bunch of appendages are coming and giving rise to flowers. So the arrangement of flowers on the floral axis can also be called as floral shoot, and this term is called as inflorescence. Now, depending upon the arrangement, that whether apex get develops into a flower at the terminal position or it is still growing as a branch. So inflorescence is divided into two types. One is known as racemose and second is known as cymose inflorescence. So if you look upon this structure, you can see in case of racemose inflorescence, that is the very first case, the floral axis is still growing because on the tip of this floral axis no flower is present. As on the cymose second case, you can see floral axis is shorter in length because it is terminated due to a presence of a flower at the terminal position. And even every floral axis in cymose inflorescence is terminated into a flower. So this kind of order or this kind of arrangement is known as basipetal succession, and in racemose this kind of arrangement is called as acropetal succession. So in different kind of plants, different kind of arrangement of flowers could take place. If I zoom this one picture, you must get a clear idea that how from in between the branch where the leaves are present, the floral bud is present. This floral bud is actually that floral meristem which is giving rise to a flower now. And simple axillary bud will grow and it will terminate into a normal branch. Now, let's study from these diagrams as well. So figure 5.11 is showing racemose inflorescence. So where it is showing the main axis is still continue growing. So it is, we can say, unlimited growth takes place in these kind of plants, and flowers are always born laterally. And in case of cymose, figure 5.12, you can see that every floral axis is terminating into a flower, so that floral axis could not continuously grow, and always they are shorter in length, means there is limited growth found in the cymose inflorescence. Now, after studying inflorescence, we will talk about the structure of the flower. So before studying it, let's look upon the structure of the flower so that all parts must get clear to you. Simply, if you pluck a flower, You hold a flower from the pedicel. So pedicel is the lower portion, right? So you hold the flower from the pedicel, and then the swollen portion above the pedicel is called as receptacle. It is also known as thalamus. So this was only about the stalk by which the flower is attached to any kind of floral axis. Now, there are total 4 parts in the flower, or we can say 4 whorls of flower are there. Outer whorl is called as sepals. Sepals are always green in color, right? Main functions of sepals you must have seen whenever you see a bud. So buds are not beautifully colored. Buds are always green. Means these sepals, they are covering and protecting the innermost portions of the flower in the bud form. Now coming to second part, that are the petals. So petals are variously colored, ranging from one kind of color to the another. Bright colored, light colored, white in color, so beautifully colored. So petals, they help in pollination, and even they attract the various kind of insects so that pollination can takes place. They are giving us fragrance, so we feel good by looking upon beautiful colored flowers. So these two, they are not playing a direct role in reproduction. Now we will come to the third and fourth part of the flower. Number 1, number third means that is male part, also known as androecium or stamen. Stamen, you can see yellow colored portion is called as anther, in which pollen grains are present, and a stem stalk like structure which is helping it to attach to the ovary or other part of the flower is known as filament. Last and the fourth most important part is the female part of the flower, also known as gynoecium. It is consisting of 3 parts. It is also known as pistil or carpel. The topmost part is stigma, then style, longest part is style, and the swollen basal part is called as ovary. Inside the ovary, ovule is present. I hope these 4 parts or 4 whorls of the flower are clear. I am repeating. Number 1, sepals. Number 2, petals. Number 3, stamen. And number 4, pistil. Now let's study about the flower. As we have already studied different parts of the plant, flower is the only reproductive part of the flowering plants. So it is mostly meant for sexual reproduction because male part will produce male gametes and female part will produce female gametes. So as we have studied, there are different kind of whorls, so which are successfully arranged around and swollen and is called stalk or pedicel, and then it is known as thalamus or receptacle. Sepals are also known as calyx, C-A-L-Y-X, and petals are also known as corolla. Stamen is also known as androecium, and female part, that is pistil or carpel, is also known as gynoecium. You have to remember there are 4 successive whorls present in the flower. Outer one, sepal, is known as calyx, petal is known as corolla, then stamen is known as androecium, and pistil or carpel is known as gynoecium. So calyx and corolla are accessory organs, means they are only helping in, but actual function is performed by androecium and gynoecium. Some flowers are there in which sepals and petals are very difficult to differentiate. Like in this lily flower, there are no sepals present, means only single whorl of the outer covering is present. So we do not call them as either sepal or petal, we call them as tepals or perianth. So you can see in case of lily or many other flowers in which the sepals or the petals, they are not distinct to us, so we call them as perianth or tepals. Sometimes a flower contains both male and female part in the same one, that we call as bisexual, and in the flowers where differently male and female parts are present, we call them as unisexual. So it means we can take as male flowers or female flowers. You must remember, in chapter number 4, Animal Kingdom, we have talked about the symmetry of animals. So same with the flowers as well. So we have studied three kinds of symmetry in chapter number 4. Asymmetrical means there is no symmetry found, irregular in shape. Then radial symmetry, and last was bilateral symmetry. So flowers can also be found with the same case. Let's come to the next page. So you have to remember this. In case of the flowers, where the many halves, equal halves can come by cutting them into many planes. That is called as radial symmetry, as it was found in starfish, right? So similarly, in flowers, radial symmetry is known as actinomorphic symmetry. And examples are mustard flowers. You can see mustard flowers. We can cut them into any plane from the center and we will get as many equal halves. Then you can see second example is datura. You must have seen these trees around in your surrounding as well. So again, we can get as many equal halves. And last is chili, as 6 petals are there, right? So from any plane you can cut and you will get equal halves from it. So you have to remember these 3 examples are very important. Now coming to second, that is bilateral, means there will be only one kind of equal halves. You have to cut the flower only from the one plane, then only we will get equal halves. You can see examples are 4 in number. Number 1, pea plants, beautifully colored flowers. You can see one petal is so much big, then 2 are little smaller, and 1 is too small, means smallest, right? So 5 petals are making the whole world, but they are not equal in shape and size. So that's why we cannot get equal halves by as many planes. Second example is gulmohar. Again, you can see there are differences in the size and shape of the petals. Third is bean. So bean flowers and pea flowers are almost same because they are belonging to same kind of family, that is leguminosae. They are legumes, either pea, beans, right? And number 4th is example of cassia. So this was important, that when bilateral symmetry is found in flowers, we call this symmetry as zygomorphic symmetry. Now coming to third one, when the flowers are irregular in shape. So asymmetrical, and this flower is very common, that is canna, and in which the petal shape is very irregular. We cannot get 2 equal halves by cutting into from any plane. I hope this is clear. Then you can see a picture where a leaf-like structure is present near the base of the floral axis. This is known as bracket, B-R-A-C-T. If the flowers contain this bracket leaf-like structure, we call the flowers as bracteate. But if this is absent, we call them as ebracteate. So this was about symmetry. So you have to remember actinomorphic, zygomorphic and asymmetric. I have given the pictures of the different kind of flowers so that you can easily remember them. Then it is written that sometimes flowers can be classified into trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous. What about this? Tri means 3, tetra means 4, penta means 5. Sometimes in some flowers there are total 3 sepals and 3 petals, means they are fixed. These kind of flowers are known as trimerous. If the floral appendages such as sepals and petals are total 4 in number, like we have seen in mustard, so then the flower is known as tetramerous. But when they are 5 in number, both sepals and petals, then they are called as pentamerous. So we have already studied bracteate and ebracteate flowers. Now let's talk about different kind of position of ovary, and according to that we call them as hypogynous flowers, perigynous flowers and epigynous flowers. If you look upon these structures, you can see in picture number A, this is an example of hypogynous flowers. So this kind of flowers having a superior ovary. So depending upon the position of other floral appendages such as sepals, petals and male parts in respect to the ovary, right? You can see the lower basal swollen portion is pedicel or thalamus we can say. Then above that ovary is present. So ovary, they have shown light creamish in color. So in respect to that, if the other organs, they are originating from the base of the ovary, then this kind of ovary is called as superior ovary, right? So, and the ovary is taking up the highest position in this case, in the very first one. So this examples, they are present in mustard, China rose and brinjal. I hope this is clear because it is important to learn. Number second case. In the second B and C picture, you can see these are the condition of perigynous flowers. When the other floral appendages such as sepals, petals and androecium in the B part, you can see they are present above the ovary, or they can present in the middle edge of the ovary, that is in the C picture. This is known as half inferior, right? So in this case, gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts, they are located either at the same level or at the upper level. So this kind of flowers are known as perigynous and ovary is known as half inferior. Examples are plum, rose and peach. Now coming to third, you can see D picture. All the other parts, they are present totally above the ovary and even they are fused with the female part, that is gynoecium. Sepals, petals and male parts, they are shorter in size and even they are fused with the gynoecium and ovary they have taken up. This kind of flower is known as epigynous flower, and here ovary is known as inferior because other parts have grown on the topmost portion. They have enclosed the ovary completely. So the examples, they are found in guava flowers, cucumber and florets of the sunflower. So I have taken the picture so that you can easily understand it. Hypogynous flowers means where the ovary is superior. So you can see number one is the mustard flowers, number second China rose example is there, and number third brinjal flowers. Then coming to perigynous, where the ovary is half inferior in plum and peach. So plum in Punjabi it is called as aloo bukhara and peach is known as adu. So in these the ovary is half inferior. Coming to number third one. So here you can see in case of epigynous flowers. So epigynous flowers are those where the ovary, here you can easily see in cucumber, very beautifully it is visible from the diagram. Can you see a baby cucumber in a flower? Yes. It means you have already studied in the lower classes that ovary is always converting into a fruit and ovules are converting into a seed. So you can see the ovary is developed, means it is maturing, and you can see the topmost part of the flower such as sepals are present, petals are present, and even stamen will also be present. So epigynous flowers are those in which ovary is inferior. So fruit is present at the basal part and the other parts have grown above it. So similarly it is also seen in guava as well. So this was the arrangement of ovary with the other floral appendages. Now let's come to different parts of the flowers one by one. Each flower, as we have already talked, has 4 floral whorls. Sepals called as calyx, petals called as corolla, then stamen is called as androecium and pistil or carpel is known as gynoecium. So this topic we will start in the next video lecture. Till then, learn each and every example because it is very important. Pictures are most important because they will give you a more remembrance power and you can easily learn them. Till then, thank you students.